Welcome, good people, once again to this edition of the study of the history and culture of ancient Africa. Last time we looked at book 1, which clearly showed us that there are many African mythologies on the creation of the world. So that highlighted the fact that the idea of God being the creator of the universe was not a missionary imperative. It was not unique to the Jews alone. So having moved from that, we also looked at how civilization, in terms of urbanization, among the people who propelled and pushed what is known as the African Kama civilization. And these are the people from East Africa. It also showed us that there was an interaction between the people from the Red Sea area in the part of Africa, Palestine, Mesopotamia, and the Assyrians. So there was a cultural encounter from across the seas, the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. So this is probably why Egypt and the East Africa region became synonymous with Asian study, and that includes even the humanoids, like the Australopithecus, and also the mitochondrial woman. Studies that have been done largely in East Africa, Central Africa, South Africa largely, and partially in West Africa, to suggest that Africans are or may be the original creation by God, and the rest of the complexions have been changed due to the weather effects. So today we are looking at book 2, volume 5, and in book 2, volume 5, we shall be identifying these ancient African tribes, and these may include people in Kemet civilization, which is today's Egypt. Like I told you last time, when we talk about Kemet, we're talking about the people of Kemet. That country did not have a name, but it was called the land of the black soil, an alluvial black soil that was and still is transported by the Nile rivers, the blue and the white Niles. The people from ancient Africa around the area of what we call the Kemet, near the Mediterranean, between the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, include the people whom we recently know in history, the Copts. But the Copts, that name is a recent name, and it's a name that came during the occupation of the Arabs in Northern Africa, which they also called the Maghreb. So the people who are called the Coptics today, before they used to speak a language called Rem and Kimi, and the name Egypt was named during the time when the Greeks came very late, around the 4th century or the 3rd century. And in their studies, they realized that the first temple to be built in Africa was that which was called Egyptos. And so from this name of this temple came the naming of the area that the Greeks named Egypt, which was largely the northern part of Egypt. But these boundaries were then changed during the European colonialism, and it was expanded downwards to also include what has always been the boundary between the north and the south of Egypt, which the south is called the Upper Nile, and the northern part is called the Lower Nile. And these divisions have always been there all through the history of Egypt, even when they were forming the first government, with them merging with the Mesopotamians to form the first central government and the beginning of what we call monarchs or dynasties of the pharaohs. It is only the Lower Egypt, which is currently in our map, the Upper Egypt, near the Mediterranean Sea, that was within that kind of coalition. And this may have led to the changing in complexion among the many people who live in Egypt in ancient history. And so among the people who lived there are the Amarician, the Garzian, and now because of this interaction between them and the Assyrians and the Mesopotamians, so the Sumerians also came in, among other many tribes that have been highlighted in our advanced study book on ancient history, African history and culture, that will be launched this year during the Day of the African Child 2026. So there have been very many other civilizations. I've mentioned the earliest one was the Kama. It came before the Pharaoh dynasty, and it continued at around 1000 BC. That's when it ended. And around 200 years later, because of the interference and colonization of the Assyrians and the Hyksos, the disparaging of the Pharaoh dynasty by the Sea people, who came and killed very many people and destroyed a lot of historical artifacts. There was another one that came in a region called Sudan and became very powerful. It was called the Napata civilization. And this Napata civilization included places like Darfur, Nubia, the Central Kordofan, and the Nubian Hills, the Kenuzis. It had people from what we call Egypt that were called the Kenuzis, or the Kunuz people, people who came from the areas like the Aswan Dam and the regions of Lake Nasser. And so very many people and this Napata civilization drew very many nations to it at some point between the end of the Pharaoh dynasty and the beginning of the Napata civilization. There were very many African and especially the Bantu who came And some of their nations are extinct today. And some of these people included the Fake, the Gamal, the Kutsul, the El Hobagi, the old Nubian Christian kingdoms that ended at around between 6th and 7th century AD, which included the Nobati and the Makuria. So among the people who came from Central Africa and, largely the Bantu tribes, which migrated to East Africa and to the southern part of Africa, came from Central and West Africa, the area of Benin, which is today northern Nigeria, and of course the Benin itself, the area of Cameroon, and some of them also came from the area of the Congo Valley, migrated through the Congo forest and so on and so forth. And so you'll find that some of these kingdoms may have included, but these are very late kingdoms, included the Wagadu, the Mande, the Ile-Ife, the Akan, the Nok. So Nok kingdom will be mentioned and has been mentioned from around 1000 BC, and it was famous in its cultural advancement in the area of agriculture and iron smelting. And so some of these kingdoms, like the Toa from Cameroon, and spread all over in areas like Chad and Congo, among others like the Tehenu from the area of Libya, which has been adversely mentioned in the Bible as Cyrene. And so most of these kingdoms emanated from West Africa, other than what many people may have thought that probably Egypt or the pharaonic dynasties may have had an influence in the later African tribal nations and African way of life. And this has been the main study of this inquiry, to see whether there was any influence from Egypt. But in the contrary, the distinction between the Egyptian way of civilization and cultural way of life differs so much with the other tribes of Africa. And so most of these tribes of Africa may have drawn their civilization largely from the Napata, because it was a multi-cultural kind of setup, urbanization, which influenced the pharaonic dynasty way of life, but also largely the Napata and the Meroitic way of life influenced most of the African tribes. And these two, the Napata and Meroitic civilizations, also influenced Egypt in its dying days before it was taken over by people from across sea, like the Syrians, the Greeks, and the Romans. And so some of these people migrated down south to South Africa. The people like the Himba, who went to areas like Angola, the San people, who migrated to areas in Tanzania and down south, the Mwaringuni people, and the Malozi people, among others. And so, having talked about the Meroitic civilization, the people who lived there included they were the Afro-Nilotic and Afro-Asiatic people, and these included the Sudanic people, who most of us know the Nubians. But there were others like the Taman, the Navas, and the Nyiras. These Sudanese people have been divided into several clusters. Like the ones I've mentioned come from the eastern part of the Sudan. There are others who come from the southeastern part of the Sudan, and they include the people like the Daju, the Temei, the Jebel, and now the Nilotes, who largely moved to Kenya areas in East Africa around the lake Namlole, which was named Victoria during colonization. And some went to Congo, others to Ethiopia. They may have included the Deloli people, the Acholi, the Aja, the Anuak, the Jia, the Jie, Jurbeli Modo, the Luo, the Kakwa, the Ara, the Lango, the Lokaya, the Azande, and among others. And so the people who in this study have amazed me as the author are the people of the Meru tribe, and especially the Meru Bantu, not the Nilotic Meru in Tanzania, the Meru Bantu in Mount Kenya, in Kenya. And so these are mentioned as people, craft people, who used to make what was called the thinite boats. These boats were like the caskets of the royal families and the what we can say the aristocratic families during the days of the pharaonic dynasties. These boats were believed to have been vessels of carrying people from this world to the next world, and they believed in the underworld, contrary to what most of the ancient Near East cultures believe in the heavens, ascending to heavens. And you can see there is no any influence in that among other sub-Saharan African cultures, because most of the sub-Saharan African cultures never believed in the underworld, never believed in the heavens as the destination of our souls. We believed in the spiritual realm, and these made these cultures very spiritual. And so these are the differences that are coming up in this study. And the Meru people really amazes, because having been very close to the pharaonic royal court and being the major servants of this important part of human life, the destination of the soul, they have very minimal influence from the Egyptians, to call them that for now. And it really amazes, because how you study them and you find that they are more close to Meroe than to Egypt. But that is not a wonder. Things happen and things change, experience and then they inform different ideas. And so I believe when the missionaries were arriving in Africa, they never had any information about Egypt as the earliest civilization of Africans. He never had any information about the Meru, the Napata dynasty, and neither even the Kama civilization. And so sometimes I find favor in exonerating most of them, because I believe when a person acts out of ignorance, they are not supposed to be crucified, but rather they're supposed to be corrected posthumously, because most of the teachings that they gave to Africans, including that Africans were worshipping devil and their cultures were demonic, these are things that Africans who are not lazy should and awoken should rise up to the occasion and write books to counter that narrative, because the narrative is embedded so much in the subconscious of our people. And it's unfortunate that this narrative became part of the doctrine of the church, became part of the doctrine of the law that governed the colonial government during that time, or rather the colonial administration. And so it is so much embedded into our culture and our consciousness and subconsciousness. And it leads to people looking outwards, outside their countries. And that's why again and again we keep on saying that we are happy that in our lifetime our education is changing from a foreign-based education that was preparing people only to get information that will help them survive in the Western civilization culture. And now the CBC or CBE is helping our people to look within, so that we may be able to use and utilize all these resources that God endowed us, and all the resources that were given to the people whom decided to live where God had provided in this vast universe for people to settle and also to thrive in. And so you look at sometimes even the name that was given to this continent, Africa. There are very many theories about that. And so also as a people, we call ourselves Africans. Sometimes we are justifying all what, or the lens that the missionaries and the explorers and the colonialists looked us from, because I feel like, I don't know how even the Organization of African Union or the African Union can even look at how we can rebrand ourselves, because we are using a brand name that was forced into us. But however, be that as it may, it is very important to realize that the name Africa, it also has some roots from African languages. This book has highlighted those areas where the root word for Africa may have come from. And among the people who were called the New Media of the Algeria, the people who were in the province in Tunisia, Carthage, these people are said to have been under a Roman official who was called Romulus, and Romulus Africanus. This general was an administrator of these provinces under the Roman Empire, and so he may have had some influence in exerting the same. And this is the narrative that has been carried by the colonialist and the Western writings and teachings, because they want to show how dominant they were, and they gave us a face and a name. And so that makes us, having been given an identity and also a destiny by our fellow human beings, which is very funny in my case. And so some of the tribes in Tunisia, in some territories, these people were called Afri, and they were called Afri by Romans because, according to them, the name Afri meant terror. And this may have come during what we call the Punic Wars, the first, second, and third Punic War. So the first Punic War was very punitive. Africans invaded the south of Rome, which is Sicily, and they terrorized that area. And the name they were given was Afri. So these people who came from this area in Carthage, there is one area we can look at how the name came about. But also you see it's still a foreign name that describes something bad. And so Africa's also is a name that was used by people who visited Africa from across the Red Sea, the people from the region called Yemen. These foreigners used to name the land of Africa Africus. And the word that they was used mostly in what we call Tunisia, there is a word that was called Afrikia, that meant this land. So whenever they wanted to say my land, they used to say Afrikia. So that's another theory as well that can be studied, and theories, concepts, and theoretical frameworks be developed to justify that the name Africa also has an indigenous root. It's not only foreign. So we have mentioned the three foreigners in three contexts: the Yemeni and the Romans. Now the Roman general, who comes very late, because the Punic Wars happened before the Roman Empire. And this Roman general comes when the Roman Empire comes to Africa, which is around 50 AD. So it is a very recent, 50 BC. It is a very recent account. And so you will find that also the people in ancient Egypt, who were called Afriuka, and these meant towards the birthplace. So these are among the Egyptians, and this Afriuka came from the root word Afriu or Afrui, which, as I've said, meant towards the birthplace. And so you see, these names are very important for us to understand. And with that, we come to the end of our second book, volume 5. We shall continue next week from book 3, 4, and 5. And we shall have come to the end of the ancient African history and culture as launched last year during the Day of the African Child 2025, as we prepare ourselves for even a bigger, better book that will be used by scholars, will be used by enthusiasts, and it will be open to criticism, it will be open to suggestions, open to whatever manner of comment that an African or even a non-African may have heard or realized or identified in the book, whether it is a mistake, whether it is an oversight. And this power of hindsight is very important because and it is very strong from the people who are not able to write, but they have the power of a vision that a writer may be obscured from. And so each and every idea is welcome, because as of now, I'm not a lecturer, and so I'm not dealing with this study from an academic point of view. I'm just another enthusiast who is trying to answer some social challenging issues and problems that have arisen in my lifetime, and I felt that an answer needed to be written. Whether the answer and the question are long overdue, it's another thing altogether. But what is important is for the people of Africa to know about themselves, and that the colonial narrative from the missionaries and the British administrators, that they were evil and they have nothing to offer in the Western modernism, can be countered, and a correct position can be asserted, even if it will not end up in our curriculums. But this will have an influence if it is used at home and even in community libraries.
Effortlessly. Its sophisticated composition with base notes of musk, vanilla, then sandalwood ensures 8 to 12 hours of projection. Imagine confidently navigating your 12-hour work